I'm not scared for any other. I don't care about getting hurt, don't care about getting knocked out. I don't want to lose. That's it. I'm scared of losing. I'm quite misunderstood. A lot of people don't see that kind of side of things and the sacrifices that you need to make, like becoming a very lonesome person. And it made me realise that day that there is another part of your brain that we've not tapped into yet. One-dimensional at all. I can fight all different styles. I'd rather not, but I can get dragged into wars. I can do that, no bother. I can play the game. I can beat Thais at their own game, scoring, clinching, no problem. I'm a great switch hitter. I can fight any different fight and I can adapt to any style within a round easily.
When you started, I think you left your job, you and JP started the gym, no one believed in you. How much of a factor does that place on how you train today?
Obviously, when I left my job, I was a month away from doing my trade test as an electrician, but it just wasn't making me happy. And obviously, JP supported me in my decision to take a full leap. He was like, "Listen, I'll help you. Obviously, with getting sponsors and try help you in that sense, whatever." But at the time, I'd done it. And then it wasn't until I'd done it, I was telling people, I was telling my big cousin and I was just telling my fiance's dad and things like that. And they were just like, you should have probably done your trade test though, just something to fall back on. You know what I mean? You need something to fall back on. But I never really understood the concept of falling back on something. It just never ever made sense to me. I was, you know, I seen a thing today, Denzel Washington says that you should fall forward and at least you can see what you're going to hit. You know what I mean? So, that's what everybody said to me, you need to fall back on something, but I always knew where I was going. And even if even if other people didn't see that vision, as long as I seen the vision, it just wasn't meant for them to see. You understand what I'm saying?
Does that almost give you a bit of a chip on your shoulder, or do you feel as though you've got something to prove to people? Definitely,
something to prove. Not to people, but obviously to myself as well. I would like to one day, it is all kind of going that way now, just to say, who needed something to fall back on? You know what I mean? I told you this would happen. I've always known since the day I left my job where I was going. Didn't know how long it would take me to get there or how long it will take me to get there or whatever, but I know where I'm going and I know where I will be. And there's only a few things certain in life. Death, paying taxes, whatever. And another thing certain in life is where I'm going. I know where I'm going, and it's certain. Nothing will ever change that. And I don't care how long it takes. I'll keep going until the wheels fall off. I'm just driven all the time. Do you know what I mean? I just know where I'm going to be, and so that just kind of gets me up in the morning. And just like, without consistency, you'll never finish. I'm going to be completely honest with you, it might sound quite cheesy, but the David Goggins book changed my life. And just every day when I'd go to training, I'd play it. And I just became obsessed with listening to his voice, and then I was just hearing things he was saying. And he was like, this is just a normal guy. Even at that, he was worse in the position I'm in. He was overweight, he was obese, and he's done all these things. And I just started thinking, I can do this. This guy was like 300 pounds and he'd done all this amazing stuff through a work ethic and a desire to just never stop. And I was thinking, look, I can do this. And I just kind of from there just started challenging myself and just started unlocking parts of my brain that I never even knew was possible. That is the honest truth, mate. Like, I wasn't always crazy. I was always like driven in a sense, but like outside the Thai boxing, I wasn't always so focused. After fights, I would go out and party and things like that, and then just listen to that that book just almost just 360'd my life, and I've never looked back. And I've actually listened to the book maybe another 10 times. That's the truth.
So David Goggins talks about taking souls, and that's a big theme of the book that he applies throughout. Taking souls in terms of your opponent kind of makes sense. Is that something you think of?
Mate, I'm the most competitive person in the world. I think of taking souls every day. So if I'm out running with my training partners, it's terrible to say, but I think of taking their soul. I think, right, I'm going to stay ahead of them. I just need that wee one bit of energy to get in front of them, because obviously when I'm out doing hill reps with Stevie and my running partner Davey, it's very competitive. We all race hard against each other and it brings out the best in us, but I always think I want to beat them, so I always think of taking souls. That one wee bit of energy, just to zap all their energy away from them. And I know it's a quite bad thing to say even with your training partners, but even in sparring, even just like strength and conditioning, when I'm doing partner workouts, I just try and I just put a poker face on. I can see them kind of starting to get tired. It gives me energy. I'll just kind of put a poker face on and try and make myself look stronger. And I live by that concept, taking souls now. As a fighter, it's mad to say this, I don't have any fighters I look up to. I don't look up to any fighters at all. I just take a lot from David Goggins. I just feel the way he speaks about things and I can just relate to it all.
When he was younger, you had to give him a wee shove sometimes. But now it's like, you actually don't need to tell me to anything. Like, sometimes I've went to bed and by the time I wake up in the morning, Nico's already been out and he's been to strength or he's been running, he's done something, so he just kind of leave him to his own devices. He doesn't need to be told what to do, he just knows what he needs to do, he just gets it done. And there's no inconsistency with it either, it's like just constant, it doesn't matter what mood he's in, he just finds a way to get up and get it done.
I saw another interview with you after your fight in Dubai, which was a couple of years ago now, and you said that you felt nervous going into the ring. Now, for someone who does come across as supremely confident and really self-assured, when do you feel nervous around the sport, and are there any moments that stand out for you of being particularly nerve-wracking?
There's been a few, to be fair. Off the top of my mind, it's weird. It's not like I've done anything different in camp to feel nervous. I don't ever feel nervous until like maybe I start warming up. So I won't be nervous. I'll be supremely confident I'm going to knock him out, blah blah blah. And then like half an hour before I fight, like wee doubts will creep into my mind, which happen. I'm only human. You know what I mean? It's just how you kind of deal with them. Like certain fights, I've had no nerves. I've been like nothing can faze me, and I've went in and demolished them. And then other fights, bits of doubt have crept in, and I don't really have an explanation for it. It's a weird one. So my world title fight, I was kind of just like talking away to them right through to walking out, and it was just a crazy feeling. I had no sense of nerves whatsoever. Everything was just brilliant. I was talking, I was laughing, joking, right until I walked into the ring. And then 3 weeks later, I fought Sexan, and they couldn't get a word out of me for about an hour and a half before the fight. I just sat in silence, and there's no really way to explain why. It just happens. I can't control it.
What do you think you're nervous about?
Losing. I don't want to lose. I like winning. I love winning. I don't know anything else. So I'm not scared for any other. I don't care about getting hurt. I don't care about getting knocked out. I don't want to lose. That's it. I'm scared of losing.
Are there any moments that you can reflect on where you perhaps mentally weren't in the best space, where JP has had to pick you up and help you through?
100 times, literally. I could be here all day talking about it. Whenever I feel like down or low or anything like that, I probably should go to my fiance, but sometimes I don't. and I'll probably go to JP first. And there was a time where I was acting different and my behaviour and energy was off, and I didn't know it, but like the people around me knew it, but I was kind of in denial. And it took for JP to kind of talk to me and tell me like get it off your chest, and after speaking it made me realise like how I'd been acting and stuff. And just ever since then, any time like I kind of feel down or low, I just kind of speak to him, and it just feels like there's a weight lifted off my shoulder. Because fighting is a stressful thing, do you know what I mean? It's not all fucking butterflies and rainbows. You can be down through it sometimes, so whenever that's happened I kind of just speak to JP, and I always feel better after it.
I went through an awful time a few years ago. I went quite off the rails. I was in a lot of bother. I was on the verge of getting to jail actually, and I was hanging about the wrong people and that, and Nico just basically kind of hadn't been in touch for a while, but we still also had that connection, do you know what I mean? He could still speak to me on that level where I'd listen, probably one of the only people, and he did just say to me like, mate, look, I'm seeing what you're doing and the trouble you're in. He's like, you're just making an arse of this, like, I'll give you a chance, like, sort yourself out, or kind of, I'm not giving you another chance, do you know what I mean? I'll just need to cut you off because it's not good for me. And that was the kind of turning point for me, where I turned and I'm like, right, look, there's only a handful of people, and still with this day, there's only a handful of people actually do care about, like, on that level. And I was like, right, fuck, I really need to sort myself out. And for then, I got back in the gym, I got a brilliant relationship with my family again, financially, everything's brilliant, everything in my life's just kind of clicked. So that was my turning point, so now I'm kind of giving back, you know what I mean, to him.
What do you think some of the sort of less appreciated aspects of the sport are?
Just it's kind of a lonely game. So like people will see you go into the ring and they'll see you win and they'll cheer for you and they'll talk about you, blah blah blah. But as soon as you lose a fight, the people who were cheering and they don't really turn an eye for you, do you know what I mean? But that's when your coaches and stuff are there for you. It's a lonely game. Like, I don't know how serious a lot of people take it, but speaking for myself, like, I'm quite misunderstood. Like, I don't see a lot of my friends. I don't get asked to go out with them. I'm just kind of in my own wee bubble like, most of the time. You kind of just take yourself out of situations. Like, see if the people around you aren't on the same path as you and they're not trying to do like the same thing as you, then you kind of just need to remove yourself from the situation. Like, when I'm drinking and stuff and whatever, like, oh, this is amazing, but you're not being the person that you want. You're being another person for your friends to like you, rather than being the person that I am, and then everything becomes a lot more distant. So a lot of people don't see that kind of side of things, and the sacrifices that you need to make, like becoming a very lonesome person and just being yourself 24/7, you're kind of misunderstood by everybody else, you know what I mean? I can be like, say, in a bad mood or whatever, and I feel like the world's against me, and then I'll go and train. I just come out to all the problems a lot more open-minded. I think it's just the feeling it does for me. It's just like a release for me. It's like a drug in a way.
How do you know when you're at your optimum condition before a fight?
I feel invincible. I don't get tired. I'm so fast and so sharp. Like, on the pads, I just kind of float, and my breathing is almost like insane. Like, I can do like a 5-minute round and recover within like 15 seconds. One of the best memories for me, obviously, this is what kind of unleashed the new kind of segment in my brain, is obviously the furthest I'd ever run was a half marathon, and I'd only run that once, and I'd only done that a few weeks before it. I ran a marathon, and then I hit pads, 33-minute rounds with a minute rest in between. So my first time ever running that distance in my life, and absolutely blown myself. I didn't know how to pace myself or anything. I had a lot of people out like cycling along with me, so like the endorphins were high and my adrenaline was running. And I think I'd done the first half marathon in like an hour and 20 minutes, rapid, and then I turned. And see, when I turned, I just blew up. And it was just, I think if I paced myself, I could have done the whole thing quicker. But I think I nearly took double the time to get back because of how fast I ran out. And then from there, I had like a quick 5-minute break, drink, and then I started hitting pads. I collapsed and stuff. Like, it was like one of the hottest days in Glasgow at this point. But I ended up hitting pads and I just kind of hit the deck. I just kind of phased out, and so I kind of collapsed. But I remember being conscious to everybody talking. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember I could hear everybody talking, but my body couldn't move. So I was just like, but I could hear everybody talking. And him and the other person were like, take his wraps off. He started unwrapping my hands, and I just remember like something clicked, and I pulled my hand away, and it was the first time I'd moved in like 10 minutes. Like, I hadn't moved in like 10 minutes, and then I just felt him holding my hand and try to take my hand wraps off, and I pulled my hand away. And I was like, well, maybe like 10 rounds away from finishing this challenge. I was like, I've not just ran a marathon, hit 20 rounds to just stop now, and something just happened, and I think I finished super strong. I was doing like 10 kicks. I was doing like 6-minute rounds and stuff just to like get through the rounds, and I'd finished like a man possessed. And it made me realise that day that there is another part of your brain that we've no tapped into yet. Like there's so much more, and that's obviously from then I kind of started challenging myself and doing things like mountain runs and just crazy stuff, and like kind of went into the ultra scene to see, like, I'm not an ultra runner, do you know what I mean? But I was starting to do like marathons like every weekend, and just trying to challenge myself in ways. The one thing that I live by this is, if you're not willing to lose sleep for the thing that you thrive to do, then you're kidding yourself on. Apart from that, I would just kind of say, just don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something or you need to fall back on something. If the vision is true in your head and in your heart, 100% go for it with both arms out.
I don't think there's any limit to how far Nico can go, to be honest. Whether it's MMA or Thai boxing. In Thai boxing, I don't think there's anybody in the world that could beat Nico Thai boxing on his day. Even on his bad day, I think a lot of these boys that are meant to be the best, and I don't, especially with the 4-ounce gloves on, I don't see anybody in the world beating Nico with 4-ounce gloves on. And then if he goes to MMA, I think your Paddy Pimlets and your McGregor, and I genuinely think Nico will outshine every one of them, because his striking is so superior to anything that's in the UFC, you know, for a fact, and he's got the personality, the attitude that gets all these people the limelight. So I think I don't think there's any limit to where he could go. I think he could create a full new limit.
How important is it for you to leave a legacy?
Yeah, it's important. I want to be, obviously everybody wants to be the greatest fighter in the world, but in Thai boxing that is pretty hard when you've got people like Sanchai and stuff out there. But I just want to be, when I die and there's a book, a closed book, I want people to be able to read the book and see all the things that I've done, and I just want to inspire. That's like the main thing for me. I want to inspire thousands and millions of people in the end. I want people to look at me and go, right, I was this kid who hung about the streets. I used to drink, I used to get up to no good as a young teenager, and I have completely changed my life around. I want to leave a legacy for Scotland.